Ladies and gentlemen, do we have a program for you? I'm pretty sure this is something you have either not heard of or have not heard of it in much depth. We're going to visit with the American pronunciation would be Irene Caesar, Caesar, Irene Caesar. It's different in Russian though, and maybe I'll get her to pronounce it for us. But look at these pages. These are lots and lots of pages. Many pages. And believe me, there's printing on all of them. Lots and lots of printing on all of them. And the thing is, just to give you an idea of where we're headed here, one of the websites before me is wavegenome.com. Also, thematrixcity.com. There's irenecaesar.com. irenecaesar.livejournal.com. And then irenecaesar2015.livejournal.com. And there's a YouTube channel, and also Kazakh TV, KASSAK.TV. She was born in September of the year that John Kennedy was assassinated. Interesting way to. This is so. There's a synchronicity here that's amazing. She shares my father's birthday, and was born in the year that John Kennedy was assassinated here. It's just I don't know. Call me spooky, but I think that's noteworthy. She is a Russian-American philosopher, scientist, and conceptual artist. Colonel of the International the Kazakh military, Ataman of the Kazakh Embassy at the U.S., awarded the Medal for Faith and Service to Russia, 2015. President at Wave Genome from 2010, CEO at Matrix City LLC from 2012, contributing editor to the Socialist Factor magazine, Lucknow and London, co-founder of the Kazakh TV information agency. 2015, published in every yearly issue of Maintenance, a journal for contemporary Dada writing and art by Three Rooms Press in New York. She is in fact Dr. Irene Caesar and was the first scientist and entrepreneur who commercially offered the remote management of biosystems via laser signal, the bioelectronic drugs as digitized bioholograms recorded by laser, and chips/PSI generators structured by laser with digitized bioholograms ahead of Google R&D program for the bioelectric drugs for 7 years of successful global sales and more than 50 years beyond R&D. Dr. Caesar was the first artist who applied laser of the Institute of National Security in Russia to encode her art images with the digitized holograms via lasers. This is in 2013. And who, for the first time in the world, had transmitted the digitized hologram remotely via the laser as a piece of art. Well, it's all art, you know. Many things are a combination of science and art. Mathematics, for example. Music is another. And visual art as well, obviously. These things all coalesce. And frankly, the greater the coalescence, the more stunning the art. That's just my opinion, but there it is. Caesar's idée fixe is the holographic principle, as she calls it. The holographic principle, the idea that the universe is entirely in its every matrix point. She demonstrates with her life the same principle, freely moving from science to art to philosophy to alternative history to alternative geopolitics. Her alternative geopolitical expertise was highly evaluated by Henry Makow, known of the alternative geopolitical expertise worldwide, who wrote on Irene Caesar in his article, Eloquent New Voice Sounds Alarm, from October 2015. Irene Caesar, 52, is a brilliant Russian philosopher and artist who has no illusions about the Kabbalist, Jewish, and Masonic agenda and is not afraid to state it. Her art was highly evaluated by Arthur Danto, the most famous patriarch of Anglo-American philosophy and art criticism, who in 2010, right before he died, pointed to her as the major rising star of the art world. Now, it gets much more intense, but let me just move through this as quickly as I can, but slowly enough that you get it, because I think it's worth getting. Her science research and development was highly assessed by the Chinese government, who made her the chair of the Neural Engineering section at the World Congress of Biomedical Engineering in Xi'an, China, in November 2017. That's this month. And this year. This is amazing. For her resistance to the emergence of fascism/neo-Nazism in Ukraine, Irene Caesar was included by the Bandera neo-Nazis of Ukraine into the death list of Kremlin trolls of 300 people on the 17th place. She was the one who declassified the most important and most secret DARPA R&D program for creating Superman bio-robot super soldier as DNA computer by D.E. Shaw Group in June 2009, which was such an embarrassment for DARPA and CIA that they launched the Anna Chapman case. Caesar was the only one who released that Barack Obama is in reality the one and only heir of the one and only Solomonic dynasty of Ethiopia. Now wrap your head around that for a minute. Caesar revealed to the royal house of Saudi Arabia that Prophet Muhammad was Russian by blood, R1A1, that brought the king of Saudi Arabia, Salman, to Moscow in October 2017. Last month, in other words. She was the only one who said that Edward Snowden is in reality an NSA shill who was sent to Moscow to plant the idea of tall Nordic aliens in the most important and most secret agenda of NSA/NASA of fake alien invasion for gaining global domination. She was the first one who said that ISIS decapitations were in reality shot in the California studio by Adam Godahn, Godahn, the offspring of the Anti-Defamation League, against a green screen because videos demonstrate white halos around the contours of people in the video. We've seen some of those, yeah? She was born in St. Petersburg, Russia. Her parents were a psychology professor and a history teacher, and she grew up amongst Russian intellectuals. In 1985, Caesar received a bachelor's degree in philosophy from St. Petersburg University, attended the Peterhof Art School, was influenced by the teaching of Mark Twain on constructivism and suprematism. By the end of the 80s, Caesar was well known as a philosopher and an artist in Russia, and in 1994, she emigrated to the U.S. at the invitation of the Chuck Leviton Gallery in New York City with the statue of extraordinary ability. Now, some of this stuff is going to get shifted around a little bit in translation. Point is, this is one sharp cookie, and this Wave Genome project is extraordinarily interesting and may yield some really extraordinary things. And then again, it may all just go up like a tiny A-bomb right in our faces. We shall see. But in any case, Irene Caesar, Dr. Caesar, welcome to the program. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you.
You must be in Russia.
I am in Russia, in Moscow.
I love the decor, I have to tell you. The decor is good.
Welcome to come and stop by.
So, normally I would begin a conversation with someone such as yourself with the question, how did you get into the work that you now do? But I think that's been explained. You were raised by, your parents were intellectuals, and psychology and history. That's a very interesting combination. And so I suppose it was just natural that you followed in their footsteps while simultaneously taking your own path. And now we're at Wave Genome and the Matrix City. So can you explain to us, many people in the audience are scientifically minded. Some may be, and I may be one of them, overwhelmed by the information. But give it a try and let's see how much of it soaks into our heads. What is the Wave Genome idea?
Well, the idea of Wave Genome is the quantum leap. We are right now at the threshold of the most important scientific technological revolution in the history of humankind. It is called quantum leap. And the point with quantum leap is that there will be the application of quantum physics to all sides of human life, including medicine, biology, agriculture, industry, and the major importance of quantum leap is that it overcomes the paradigm of limited resources. So with quantum leap, there will be no limited resources, so there will be no limited energy, there will be no limited lifespan, no limited anything. And every community on this planet will become self-sufficient with the unlimited access to the resources and energy via process of transmutation from quantum vacuum. So this is why quantum leap is actually suppressed, because quantum leap in fact means social leap and political leap. It means a completely different geopolitical paradigm than the paradigm of so-called New World Order as the technocratic cyber slavery electronic camp by 13 major banking families in the world. And right now we are standing at the point of genetic collapse. In the United States, 80% of food is genetically modified organisms, GMO. And genetically modified organisms plus the unlimited genetic editing, engineering, leads to the destruction of genomes of plants, animals, humans, and the genomes become sterile. And in 5, maybe to 10 years from now, there will be no healthy child born in the United States, and maybe even no any children born in the United States. And people who conduct this unlimited and completely unguided genetic engineering, genetic editing, they think that they will be able to hide in some, floating cities in the ocean. And the point with the genetics, with the nature of genetics, is that it is non-local. So they will not be able to hide even on the other planet or in the other dimension. And this is the essence of wave genome. So application of quantum physics to genetics, this is wave genome and matrix city. And the major sense of this application is that the universe is 93% energy and 7% particles. It is the well-known fact from the Nature Journal of Nature, the United States. And this 87% of particles are also congested or concentrated energy. So the universe exists as energy, and this energy exists as bioholograms. And everything in the universe is holographic. This doesn't mean the picture. Hologram is a picture. This means the principle. And this means that the universe is entirely in its every matrix point. So, in other words, these people who try to harm the genomes of some classes or nations or races, they don't understand that humans on this planet constitute one collective wave matrix. So if they try to harm some other human on this planet, they inevitably will destroy themselves. And moreover, those people, specifically those people of 13 banking families who are Khazars, Kurds, Aryans from Russian ancestral mother, they are identical to Russians. Levites, the highest caste of them, are R1A1. So I would like to use this interview specifically to address Rothschild. Any attempt to construct genetic weapon against Russians and use RNA that is collected right now in Russia specifically for address genetic targeting of Russian genomes will lead to the destruction of Rothschild's genomes. So they would better stop. So Wave Genome is about urgency. It's not about scientific dialogue, research and development. The technology is far beyond research and development. It's far beyond even commercialization. So it's many decades commercialized, you see, in Russia. It declassified 2008, but it was offered basically much earlier than that. And the point is right now is to offer the mechanism of how we can stop genetic collapse and how we can correct the gross and gruesome consequences that Americans are facing right now, and to offer the new paradigm of genetic engineering and of genetics. And because universe is holographic, we can record and transmit only holographic information. So Wave Genome is offering the methods of how we can record and transmit bioholograms of healthy humans, healthy children, of pharmaceuticals, and how we can distribute these bioholograms in the form of bioholograms that, getting digitized and then encoded via lasers onto chips. And you don't have to implant chips because humans are much stronger lasers and generators than any artificial lasers and generators, because we are non-local holograms, meaning non-local in space and time. Any device which is artificially created is finite and destructible. So we are infinite and immortal. So Ray Kurzweil is an idiot, I'm sorry for strong language, because he wants to offer immortality to me, who already has it, because I am uncreated and indestructible wave matrix or hologram. So we offer chips encoded by a laser on the nano level. We offer digitized bioholograms in the form of digital files in the comprehensive digital pharmacy. And we have right now more than 300 pharmaceutical drugs, which are already recorded by laser from the chemical preparations, diagnosed for the relevance to the human biohologram and digitized. And we have the comprehensive digital pharmacy consisting of 44 digitized bioholograms of healthy bodily organs and physiological systems offered as of today. And also we offer these digitized bioholograms as remote laser signal for the remote management of biosystems. So with Quantum Leap, you can control, manage biosystems, geophysical processes, and climate remotely by small tabletop laser. You don't have to have HARP antennas. You don't have to distribute metal nanoparticles all over the world. If you are a very strong operator, you don't even have to have a laser. You can do it by your mind. So the point of Quantum Leap is the generation of a new man with super abilities. This is the plan, and this is the task of DARPA when they try to create super soldier as a DNA computer. But the point with DARPA is that they don't understand the holographic principle. They don't understand that they can't create a super soldier as a slave. You know, slaves are not super soldiers. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So, and if you create slaves, then you as a slave master correspond to your slave, because the matrix is non-local. So to make a quantum leap, we need to make a social leap. And the social leap means basically socialism. I'm sorry. It is a derogatory and almost a curse word in United States, but socialism is the ancestral law of matriarchal society, which was before patriarchal society. And the essence is treating the society as a big family. And there is no other way around. Either we treat our society as a big family, or we simply have genetic collapse and World War III and total collapse of world economy, industry, and etc. Because all this so-called BCI, brain-computer interface, brain chips, liquid crystal brain chips, and general universal artificial intellect, this is all a pre-quantum leap, obsolete technology, voice to skull. It's all old, obsolete Soviet Union, Igor Smirnov technologies. They are not new, and they are completely obsolete and harmful. And Russia already basically overcame these technologies. So Russia took another path. It took a path of restoring man to his statue of true biohologram, universal biohologram. And if you restore man to this statue and have enough sufficient quantity of this man on this planet, then we have a chance of making a quantum leap. If you don't make quantum leap, all of us will get war and genetic collapse. And United States is getting it the first place. Look at Monsanto, what they're doing. I'm very much amazed how these people are not jailed yet. How Mike Pompeo is made head of CIA if he supports Monsanto. I don't understand. This guy digs a grave for his own grandchildren. They will not be able to hide. This is the whole point. So the urgency is to deliver to the United States intelligence that they will be the first who will be attempted to made into the cyber slaves, you see, and BCI, brain-computer interface, is literally lobotomy. They will be lobotomized. United States intelligence will be in mass lobotomized. They are trying lobotomizing it right now. And the point of this agenda is simply a mass global depopulation. And the first people who will be depopulated will be United States military and United States intelligence, because for these people who are trying to build the so-called New World Order, United States is the bigger enemy than Russia. So Russia and United States are not enemies. George Soros wrote in his book, The Age of Fallibility, that the major enemy of his entire life was the United States. David Rockefeller wrote the same thing, that the major enemy of globalists is the United States. So the globalists need to destroy strong national countries. And more strong national country is the United States. So they will destroy, first of all, the United States. What this means, they will target United States intelligence and United States military. And they're already doing it by applying genetic and psychotronic warfare to the population of the United States, subjecting United States to the attacks by psychotronic weapons. So United States is right now in the state of war. United States population is bombarded in mass by psychotronic weapons. I offer the devices for protection against psychotronic weapons. So I am bombarded by people who are victims of psychotronic attacks. So United States is a major battleground for application of psychotronic weapons against civilians. So not Russia, not Europe, but specifically the United States. And who is doing this? Precisely, it's done by Mother Lodge in England, which is controlled by 13 Khazar bankers who are building their own global empire, which will have for United States as their military feast, as their financial feast. So for the United States, it's very important to realize, for the military and intelligence, that there should come a point when they will have to reverse the coup d'etat of 1963, when these 13 Khazar bankers, so-called Synagogue of Satan, self-named, when they killed JFK. So for the United States, there is no other question. Either they reverse this coup d'etat or there will be no United States. So Zika virus, it's around United States, but it's coming in because United States right now are prepared by the application of the psychotronic genetic warfare against the population in military and intelligence.
Now, I'm a little bit confused. The United States has tried to resist a socialistic situation. Now, are you saying that that is the pathway that we must take for peaceful cohabitation around the world?
Well, the socialism in the USSR, right, Soviet Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, this was the diversion, okay? So this was precisely the plan to discredit the system. And this diversion was made on purpose. It was not developing, like chaotically or out of nowhere.
But
it was all planned.
Discredit which system?
To discredit this system. It was called socialism. You can call it socialism, you can call it matriarchy. In matriarchy,
but I'm not following you. Are you saying it was put together that way to discredit its own system or the capitalist system?
The whole system was put together to discredit itself.
Oh, gotcha. Well, no, wait. Now, hold on now.
Yes.
You got a really fast spinning hard drive. So you're gonna have to let my processor catch up to you. Now, this sounds like what Adolf Hitler tried to do. He just didn't have the tech. And he was the National Socialist Workers Party.
Yes, this was the other side of the same medal. Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Keep going. I'm on the same page with you.
So, so to understand the future, we need to understand the past. Because in the holographic universe, there is no space and time. Everything is simultaneous.
Well, yeah,
so
it's
in other words, if we understand the past, we will clearly see the future. So in the past, there was this highly technologically developed civilization. There was a global war, approximately 14,000 years BC, with the use of psychotronic laser, gravitational nuclear weapons. And after that war, there was matriarchy. These are all facts, okay? Very easily provable. And that matriarchy was before patriarchy. It's a well-known fact in history. In Russia, in southern Urals, there is a city, swastika city, Arkaim, Bronze Age. Some say 3,500 BC. I would say 4,000, 5,000 BC. It was a round circular city, divided into sectors. And each sector housed a big clan, family clan, consisting of 30 to 40 people, governed by a matriarch, Baba, a woman. And there were no caste division in this tribe, in this city. Archaeologists did not discover any caste or property division between these segments, these clans. So in other words, the entire nation didn't have any caste or property division. And the division between people was only by age. So children were submitting to parents, and when parents were getting old, they were submitting to children. This is natural division. And these people, they didn't have caste division because they understood holographic principle, that each one of them had the entire universe inside themselves, inside him or herself. These people, that is why they were conducting a skull prolongation. In Arkaim, there is a museum, and there is a mummy there of they were descendants of giants. So the mummy is very tall, maybe 3 meters or higher, and with a very long, prolongated skull. When they unearthed this mummy, they thought it is an alien. But when they checked DNA, it was R1A1 DNA. It was Russian Aryan DNA. So these people were able to preserve quantum leap technologies, and they were capable of actually manipulating their genetic engineering, neural engineering, because they had specific social structure. You see, as soon as people lost this structure, they lost their memory, Each one of them is the entire universe. They established the caste society, the separation. These people are slaves, and these people are slave masters. They lost the ability of quantum technologies. So I'm sorry, no social leap, no quantum leap. And if no society on this planet will be able to actually return to this don't call it socialism, matriarchy. If you will not return to this precisely, this archaim-based matriarchy, there will be no quantum leap in this planet. There will be genetic collapse, nuclear, gravitational, psychotronic, genetic warfare, and return to the planet of apes. And again, on the polar areas, some piece of humanity, part of humanity will remain. And in polar areas, there is this quantum leap effect of the ionosphere as a cupola, a causative mirror cupola. There, they will remember, the issue is to remember, they will remember these technologies, and they will restore the social structure to preserve these technologies. So you say that I was able to achieve this extraordinary result without false modesty because my parents were intelligentsia. No, I was able to get this result because my parents were both communists. And my father was a Second World War veteran who was wounded when he was 17 years old in Stalingrad, when Russia was so exhausted that they were sending children, boys, to the front. I wrote a poem about this and published it in New Yorker in 2004 or something. And my father told me only one thing about the war. He told me that under Stalingrad, they were walking, stepping on their bodies. There were no ground. The ground was covered with dead bodies, and there were mountains of them. He told me only one thing about this. So when I realized that my son, when I wrote this poem, was also 17, I sobbed. Because I realized that my father was a baby. He was a child. So Volga was red of blood. It is a huge river. You can see the other bank. Americans, when they say that they won the Second World War, they're lying. They started the war when the Russians already entered Germany. Half of Russia was destroyed. 30 million died. Every family lost a man. Americans, they don't know what the war is. They don't know what the war is. See, they're like babies. Intelligence, military, like babies.
Without the Red Army, we would
wake up. They need to wake up as of today because the war is right now on American soil. Their children are destroyed by these globalists as of today by psychotronic weapons. These so-called targeted individuals, they are all Rothschilds, all these crooks from ghetto, from Germany. Transnational criminals, it is organized crime. These people are not Jews, they are not Americans or British. They are simply organized crime syndicate who introduced Americans to pedophilia and human sacrifice and made them morally incapable to deal with the collapse on their own national soil. And Donald Trump, with all respect, is completely under the influence of the same people by his extended family. And if Americans will not realize and will not do some urgent steps, their process will be irreversible. And what they're doing right now, they're doing all this military exercises for applying psychotronic weapons like the pulse, the ultrasound. It's ridiculous. They simply multiply the effects of psychotronic weapons that are applied against United States of America as of today.
And so if people are looking for the symptoms of psychotronic warfare being waged against them, what is to be seen as evidence that this is really happening?
Well, psychotronic weapons is the weapon, which basically a mind control weapon. And as Clinton is reported, Bill Clinton is reported by the victims of MK Ultra program, Cathy O'Brien, he is reported to say that New World Order is impossible without global mind control. Basically, it is the transformation of humankind into slaves, which will be controlled remotely as mind slaves. And the symptoms are basically schizophrenia, and it's in Russia, it's recognized as a psychiatric disease.
How is this done?
Transforming people into mentally sick people.
How is this done? What's the delivery system for the psychotronic weapons?
Well, there are many delivery systems for psychotronic weapons.
Is 5G one of them? This 5G network?
Well, 5G network is an ultra-fast mobile network. Yeah. And smartphones are, you might say, the paradigmatic psychotronic weapon because of the connection of ultra speed, high frequency, ultra high frequencies, and low frequency of human voice. So when you have the transposition of a high frequency of the mobile phone carrier wave and the low frequency of human voice, and you can add other frequencies, modulating frequencies, you get a paradigmatic psychotronic weapon. And it is because these two frequencies, they create the diffraction grating. So low frequency and then the high frequency has this diffraction grating. People who do this weaponry, they don't probably even realize this, but this is precisely the mechanism of how it works. So when you get this diffraction grating, you have a holographic wave crystal, which pushes every next signal towards the zero center of this wave crystal. And you can then deliver the information, including morphological information, through the zero center, because we are holograms, we are protected by the nature of the existence. I'm non-local hologram in time and space, and I receive information not from outside. I filter all the information by refracting it to the zero center. It is quantum physics. And I get my information already filtered through my refraction mechanism. I'm a specifically structured refraction module which refracts all the signals from outside toward the zero center. And this smartphone's psychotronic weapon, it preserves a simulator of the refraction mechanism that can actually, like a virus, change the refraction of my own refraction mechanism in my wave crystal. And while changing this refraction mechanism, I can filter in some alien information, specifically like a virus. And according to the latest information, this so-called self-named Synagogue of Satan applied this attack right now in Catalonia. So they literally sent their professor from Israel with the bags, with psychotronic equipment to Barcelona to conduct the massive psychotronic attack on Catalonians, because all this pseudo-sovereignty parades in Scotland and Catalonia and Kurdistan, it's all the tactics for destroying the strong national states. Either it's United States or Spain or Middle East. So when Americans, they participate in this destruction of national states somewhere in Middle East, they should realize that the next comes United States with the separation of California and Texas. And as soon as Israel will become stronger, the next thing will be the fall of the United States. So United States right now is still strong only because Russia is still holding and only because Syria is still holding. As soon as Syria falls, the next will be the United States of America, because the greater Israel from Nile to Euphrates does not need United States. I'm sorry.
What's that last part? You're sorry?
The greater Israel from Nile to Euphrates does not need the United States of America. It will be wealthier and more military sufficient than the United States. They don't need United States. United States is prepared for the complete collapse. There is this tunnel network from any Masonic lodge connected to the Walmart. Every piece of gold, every piece of artwork from American museums, original, genuine, is already transported to Lima. Lima is a new New York right now. Peru is a new United States. Every elitist family in the United States bought land in the Latin America, in Venezuela, in Argentina, and Peru, especially Peru. They apply Zika virus there to clean the land from the indigenous population. So they are prepared to move from the United States to Latin America. They don't need United States. They don't need European Union because these are states of the social welfare. They don't need welfare states anymore. They don't want to pay your social security or Medicaid or Medicare. I'm sorry.
Not even your pension.
No Medicaid for you, and you still don't want socialism. No Medicaid. Your children will die under the fence on the streets, the same way they died in the beginning of the 20th century with child prostitution.
This actually
selling their organs. They will be selling organs.
Say that again.
They will die under the fence as child prostitutes. The same as it was in the beginning of the 20th century, with the workload of 16 hours a day, with no social benefits.
And this selling their organs. I don't see. I'm trying to see. But this will happen how?
If Russia falls and if Syria falls. If Syria falls and if Russia falls, the next will be United States of America. Freemasons, they started the building of the underground city in Denver in 1994, after the collapse of USSR, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, Soviet Russia. And this city was built precisely for the destruction of the United States. It was built as the escape control point. So through Denver, through this underground city, all the traffic of gold and artifacts, all valuables, is already conducted from United States into Latin America. So United States right now is an empty shell, deprived of all wealth, all industry, and prepared for the total collapse. So do you want your children to sell organs? Or does American military and intelligence want to become cyber slaves, mind slaves? And the point with this BCI, brain-computer interface, that they're trying on United States military right now is that it is, in principle, impossible. That's why every attempt to make a United States intelligence officer or military BCI cyber-controlled freak is an act of murder and lobotomy. So they lobotomize American military precisely to weaken them so that when this situation would rise, right, they wouldn't resist. And they would do it, if it causes racial war. It's clear.
You know, these... There's no doubt that these psychotronic weapons exist. There's one particular article, psychophysischer-terror.com, the reality of psychotronic weapons. Preston T. Bailey, you know that name, Dr. Preston T. Bailey? Anyway, everything from the neurophone, which there's a patent being held by that, to the psychoacoustic projector, silent subliminal messages, methods and systems of altering consciousness, electromagnetic field, microwave weapons, brainwave monitors and analyzers, psychotronic guns. The mind has no firewall. Army article on psychotronic weapons. This is, this much of what you say sounds like a scientific spin on stuff taken straight out of the Bible. It really does. And it sounds as though the super destructive beast, the beast that's written of in Scripture, it appears that you may be saying something like, if the spirit world is in, let's say, the fourth dimension, long ago they referred to it as time. Time is the fourth dimension. Oh, okay, because it's been pretty much established that time is an actual thing rather than a state. I don't know if you agree or not, but perhaps you do. But when people speak to, in the cases of necromancy, when people, have communicated with those who have died, they're sort of stuck between this reality that we're in, this particular part of the matrix you described, and, well, that part of the universe where the creator resides. Sort of the ones who have passed beyond the veil are in that area between our reality and the unseen reality that we don't get to see until, we make it to that third heaven, or whichever number heaven it is. If the first heaven is the atmosphere here and the second heaven is outer space, then whatever is on the other side of outer space. A lot of the things that you're saying resonate instantly. What do you make of all this? Well, you're talking about schizophrenia. It appears that there is rampant schizophrenia among the population. How else can you explain the behavior of people? Masses of people, not just one here and one there, but huge masses of people. They'll be calm one minute, then they'll be violent the next. It doesn't seem to take very much to set them off. And it's easy to think, well, these are just ne'er-do-wells and just thugs. They're just waiting for an excuse. But I think there's more to it than that. And you combine this with the, now how many different sexual orientations have they described now? 70 some odd different orientations. Politicians, all of this these widespread revelations of all this sexual misconduct among the media and the politicians. Notice it's confined to the media and the politicians. We don't really hear about it anywhere else, but I suspect we're going to begin to hear about it in academia as well. And that's old news anyway to anybody who's been to university. But now, are we to just understand that this is what is going to happen, that this is happening, and just accept it and move on in some way? Or are we supposed to fight it? Is there any way to combat this?
Well, with all this deviance, sexual deviance, it's basically the destruction of the family.
Yes.
And destruction of the family is the destruction of the welfare state. They come together. So you cannot destroy a welfare state without the destruction of the family. And you cannot destroy family without the destruction of the welfare state. And without destruction of family and welfare state, you cannot make mind slaves. So destruction of the family is taking care of your brother and taking care of your brother on the social scale. This caring of your brother is being human, is understanding the basic law of reciprocity in quantum physics. Everything that you do comes back to you because we are not local. You cannot get rid of anything that you do. You always drag behind yourself everything that you do. I'm sorry, forever. And if you collected too much stuff which is not good, you will reincarnate as a monkey. So all these people, they are not reptiloids, aliens, they're simply Neanderthals. So we are right now in war with Neanderthals. Neanderthals who wants to destroy the humans here on this planet. And if they destroy us, they will get the planet of apes. They already make movies about planet of apes. So we are at war with Neanderthals, and we have to do whatever we can to survive. And what should happen, right? Americans, right? They should start collecting wave matrices of healthy children, because there are not many of them in the United States. If they don't have any, they buy Russian matrices. They're already buying, by the way, Russian RNA here. Healthy Russians, they're buying already, maybe thanks to me. Yes, they should buy Russian healthy DNA, RNA, because in 5 years from now, there will be no healthy child. So you're asking me what we can do. They should do, at least to preserve some material that would help them to survive, because there might be a critical point when there will be no turning back.
Yes.
So the elite will be completely corrupted by pedophilia, which is a karmic crime, by human sacrifice, which is a Neanderthal karmic crime. Okay, both of them are Neanderthal karmic crimes. Okay, so elite will be completely corrupted. It will be completely blinded. It will not know what to do. Look at this Ray Kurzweil, who is a woman also. He's a feminine, female Ray Kurzweil, who wants to be a swarm of nanobots, eternal swarm of nanobots. This is a psychiatric case. The guy should go straight to the psychiatric clinic. Or look at Elon Musk, who says that humans, in comparison with the machines, have feline brains. He's an idiot. Who would buy even one share of his company if the guy says these things? No surprise that his Tesla motors get exploded and his rockets fall. The guy is complete feline-brained idiot. And look at this Peter Thiel, the founder of PayPal, a big boss of cryptocurrency, who wants to be like the Tsar, emperor of his floating cities in the ocean, to embark on his own journey. He puts blood of the teenager in his system. The guy is so effeminate that he wants to be like a girl. And that's why he takes blood from a teenager. And by a syringe, he puts it in his own blood system.
Irene,
this just doesn't understand the simple laws of quantum physics, that he will drag the karmic energy by holograms of all these teenagers that he takes blood from. He doesn't understand, doesn't realize this. So these people are blinded, they are blind. And there might be this critical point when they will not be able to turn back.
Demonic. It seems that this fits the definition of demonic perfectly.
There are no demons. There is no creator, God creator. I'm sorry. There is no astral world of ghosts.
And you know this how?
There is no hell. I'm sorry.
I say you know this how?
I know.
How do you know?
I know as hell that there is no hell.
No, I say, how do you know these things?
because I'm Irene Caesar. Well,
that's not going to work for a lot of us.
Because there is quantum non-locality. There is quantum physics.
Yes.
Quantum physics, it's instantaneous simultaneity of everything. The matrix has the entire universe inside. There is no space and time. So in me, there is the infinite dimensions, from the infinite macro to the infinite micro. So people like Elon Musk and Ray Kurzweil, they need to read Aristotle. Absolute, which is quantum non-locality, right? Cannot be divisible. If you divide the absolute into hell and heavens, you limit absolute. And if you limit absolute, this is not absolute anymore. I'm sorry. So people like Elon Musk, who say that humans are felines, these people simply don't understand quantum physics. So because there is no hell and no heavens, there is no demons and no angels. So each one of us is the complete representation of the Creator. We just simply realize this in this dimension with specific limitations due to this dimension. We filter this infinite, eternal knowledge, omniscience, omnipresence, and omnipotence. We filter it by specific reflection into this dimension. But this does not mean that we, by filtering it, we diminish it. So if a person oversteps the caste system, the slavery mindset, and treats all the humanity as one family, all unity, then this person is capable of getting information from the past and from the future, and actually controlling biological systems and geophysical processes and climate simply by the force of the mind. Our goal is to build such a person, call it super soldier or whatever. I am from Kazakh lineage, from the Scythian Sak Kazakh family. We were never slaves, never serfs, always warriors, both males and females. And we have people, характерники, who are capable of psychically controlling other people and by systems and weather and climate control. So precisely because we never had caste system, we rejected caste system and hierarchy. Precisely because of this, we were capable of doing this. As soon as a person accepts social hierarchy, political hierarchy, any kinds of slavery, exploitation, alienation, in this very moment, this person loses the superpowers to become a super soldier. So when DARPA tries to make a super soldier, they would better build a matriarchal city like Arkaim, okay? With extended families. I'm serious. I'm not joking. I'm not freaking joking. I can sell them this idea for $1 million. I'm serious. I'm completely, totally serious. If they want a super soldier, they should build a city like Arkaim. It's a round city. Round city symbolizes the freedom. Every head of the clan came out to the square in the middle of the city for the Kon, Kazakh Kon, the circle. This King Arthur, he was a Kazakh from Don, and his true name is Yartur, not Artur. Yartur. Yar means Aryan, and Tur means Turanian, and Turanian means To Aryan. To means this Aryan. So this Aryan. And he has this round table. What is round table? Is this round circle, Kazakh Kon. So heads of the clans, they were gathering every week on this Sabbath, right? Or this women, they were gathering on this Sabbath, Ведьма, ведущая мать, witch, knowing mother, and they were deciding the course of the tribe. And tribe was migrating every 70, 80 years because after this global war, they were thick pine forests covering the nuclear waste sites, okay? And they were cutting pines to do agriculture. And every 70, 80 years, the soil got exhausted. So to have land property was senseless. These people
didn't have
property on land property. It was senseless. So to have a super soldier, they should build this system because it's like matryoshka. It's like a doll, small doll, bigger doll, a more bigger doll. Without this system, they will not create super soldier. They will just create a schizophrenic, transgender, okay, guy in rosy strings on psychotropic medication and abusing children in Afghanistan.
Who is, in your based on your study, who or what is the originator of this holographic everything? How did it start? Something started it.
Well, the point is that this knowledge, right, is eternal. So it is ancestral knowledge. This is the knowledge of antediluvian civilization. And this antediluvian civilization was our Russian Aryan civilization, destroyed by the war between family members, blood-related family members, as it is described in Vedas. And I assume that it was destroyed by the war between matriarchs and patriarchs. And why I'm saying this, and this is a very important piece of knowledge I would like to transmit, bioholograms, as I said, right, they run as refraction, a specific refraction mechanisms, right? And this refraction mechanism depends upon the shape of the biohologram. sacred geometry. If the sacred geometry, the shape is destroyed, then there is no bioholography. And my discovery, one of my discoveries was the explanation of genetics as geometrical optics in chromosomes. And there are two kinds of chromosomes: metacentric chromosomes, which are symmetrical and like swastika shape, and acrocentric, which are not symmetrical. And the same species, right, have dysfunctional individuals and functional individuals, specifically differing by the shape of the chromosome for the same gene. So the same gene, right, get expressed in the functional individuals by the metacentric chromosome and in dysfunctional individuals by the acrocentric chromosome. So, for example, the difference between apes and humans is in the shape of the chromosome for the same gene. And Down syndrome children and normal children, they also differ by the shape of the chromosome for the same gene. And domesticated horses and wild horses, they are also differing by the shape of the chromosome for the same gene. So the same is with females and males. So females have metacentric functional gender chromosome, and males have dysfunctional acrocentric chromosome, which is literally half of the metacentric chromosome. So males are there historically, genetically, it's clear, are the results of the degeneration of the female chromosome. So we can assume that the previous, more civilized civilization, right, more highly developed civilization, antediluvian civilization, was matriarchal civilization ruled by women. And we can assume that this civilization was basically a, you might say, quasi-socialist system when the society was dealt with as a large family. So these women, they did not leave members of their tribe alone in despair, because you cannot shield yourself from the sobbing of the orphan with the wall, because the information wave is passing through the walls, and you cannot shield yourself from your misdeeds. Everything you did wrong to other people comes back to you. So if you want highly developed scientifically, technologically civilization, you need to get a more highly developed social order. So we can assume that that civilization was matriarchal. It was a quasi-socialist civilization, and it was destroyed probably by the emergence of males. And this was the war between female matriarchs, female rulers, and patriarchs. And in fact, in India, gods are called Devi, which is a Russian word for virgin, and teachers are called Baba, which is a Russian word for matriarch. Okay? And in this Trimurti, the second name for Shiva, which is Siva in Sanskrit, swastika, svet from light in Russian. His second name is Makesh, which is a Russian goddess, Makesh. Makesh is a makushka, the head. The top of the head is called Makesh, makushka. And this civilization that survived in the polar areas of Russia, it got restored itself approximately 7,000, 8,000 BC. So they got out of the underground cities after the nuclear winter, approximately 10,000 BC, so-called Stone Age. And they restored civilization 7,000 BC, when the temperature didn't fall below the temperature in Greece. And they restored it in the polar areas of Russia precisely because of the quantum leap effect of the shape of the ionosphere as the Kozyrev mirror. So this shape of the cupola, right, creates a quantum effect of the reflection of every wave upon itself and creation of the scalar wave diffraction grating for the reflection of every next wave signal to the zero center. So in the polar areas of Russia, there is the conditions for the super intelligence. So in other words, if DARPA wants to have a super soldier, it is not enough to put a chip in some area of the brain. You should have a scaled system, scaled. You should have a scalar Without a scalar, one, and second, a prolonged signal, you cannot get the system going. And this is the unity of macrocosm and microcosm. And this idea of the unity of macrocosm and microcosm was the idea of our civilization for millennia, because we preserved our civilization, preserved this idea after the destruction of the last highly civilized, highly technologically advanced civilization, antediluvian civilization. So Russians never degenerated to the levels of Neanderthals, precisely because of the North Pole effect. And that's why birds from all over the world, they go to the North Pole to hatch their eggs, because precisely in the North Pole area, we have this shape of the ionosphere plus the signal, the so-called Day of the Gods, that goes for almost 6 months. So you need to have a signal and you need to have a shape. So if you have a shape of the Kozyrev mirror, even psychotronic weapons are not actually helpful to you, because you can neutralize them. But this is not simply mechanical. You see, in DARPA, they think that they can have a switch, like a kind of chamber, metal chamber. They put a guy, they put a switch, press a button, and then go to lunch. It doesn't work like this. Our ancestors, they lived in a cupola-shaped homes. They were eating from the cupola-shaped cups with the cupola-shaped spoons. They ring the bells. And so it was the elaborated, total system of controlling the environment. To control the environment the way they want, the climate, biosystems, geophysical processes, you need to really put markers, this holographic phantoms all over the place to be able to control this. And to control the environment this way, you should realize that you cannot do harm, because any harm that you do immediately comes back to you. So global domination that they're talking about is out of question. So in other words, quantum leap is a spiritual revolution, not sex revolution, spiritual revolution. Yeah. Quantum leap is the realization of all unity.
Now, what about CERN? What are your opinions of CERN and what's going on there?
Well, CERN is it's a satanic sect trying to build a portal to demons.
Well, I thought you said there weren't any.
Satanic sect, it is a satanic sect.
Yes.
Trying to build a portal to connect to demons. It's a demonology, basically.
Do the demons exist or do they not
heavily
exist?
Into demonology.
Do the demons exist or not?
They think they exist. So they try to build something to something that doesn't exist. These are people are very, I would say, sick in their minds.
Gotcha.
You see, unfortunately, they need to be confined to the psychiatric clinic right away. A location of CERN is in the ancient Russian land, the kingdom of Rus, they call it now, but it's not Rus, it's Rus, and the river is called Rus. And this tunnel, right, it's on the river Rus. And in Jesuit manuscripts, it's preserved that it was Rutenia, Rus. So it was ancient Russian land in Europe. And they trying to represent this satanic deviance as pre-Christian beliefs of the indigenous population of this land. It's simply not true, okay? So I am as Russian can claim the land as Russian, and their attempt to use swastika for Nazism and racism is completely not true. It is all unity symbol, rejecting the hierarchy in division into castes and races and nationalities. It's a symbol of global empire and quantum technologies, by the way.
Now, what about these laser delivered? Let me get this straight here now. Well, I'm looking at the products page over here, and this is slightly confusing to me, but you have a Tesla, you have little mini Tesla generators that it says here the Spetsnaz uses, and some of these digital, what do you call them, digiceuticals? The digital pharmacy. I mean, this is amazing. It's each model comes in generic and individual version. Generic version is the universal human biohologram, aka digital cell encoded via laser into the chip on nano level. And the individualized version has the personal human biohologram encoded via laser into the chip on the nano level. Generic Tesla PSI generators produced for large families would like to share the same Tesla generator. Individual generators. Some of this stuff it's not cheap either. It's expensive. Some of it, somewhat expensive. What does it do? And how you actually transmit medications via laser that are received by these devices? Is that, am I close? Is that what happens?
Because everything in the universe is holographic, you can record and transmit only holographic information. And to do this, you need devices which are capable of recording and transmitting holographic information. So we use special devices, lasers, specially constructed lasers, and lasers spectrographs. So I have just finished the clinical trials with the largest science institution in Russia of MIT level, Bauman University, with the newly invented Russian laser spectrograph. And we recorded the biohologram of aspirin. And we are going right now to do the same thing to the fetal stem cells of fetus, which are produced only in fetus. And then the hologram was digitized with the mathematical model by the same scientists who created a mathematical model for the newly invented Russian top rocket Caliber. So we got this digitized biohologram, right? And then when you get this digitized biohologram, you actually got digidrug, as you said, right? Digipharmaceuticals, right? So then you can distribute this digitized hologram in various forms, right? So one way to distribute it is to coat a chip with this digitized hologram. And you again need to use a specific protocol and specific device that is capable of transferring holographic information. So you can use the chip, then you can use it as a digital file, and also you can remotely, instantaneously transmit it via laser, because we are bioholograms. And if you know quantum physics well enough, you can actually control biosystems, geophysical processes, and climate remotely without any big antenna and big protocols. You can use small devices or even nano devices, because in quantum physics there is no space and time. And in 2012, I formulated the implication of the holographic principle. And this implication says that if the universe is entirely in its every matrix point, then every matrix point is not simply different from any other matrix point, but is unique. Matrix is the notion of the higher mathematics. And every matrix is non-local and unique, meaning that you are non-local unique wave matrix, and I am non-local unique wave matrix, right?
Okay.
And if we have two copies, right, of the same non-local unique wave matrix, we can transmit information instantaneously and remotely from one copy to the other copy, because in quantum non-locality, they constitute one and the same thing. And in 1999, the Institute for National Security in Moscow was capable of lowering blood sugar in the diabetic calf remotely at the distance of 20 kilometers, officially and publicly, for the American Diabetic Association. It is 1999, okay? And it was done experimentally, but it was not explained theoretically. So I explained theoretically how it is possible. So if you record, right, the copy of your biohologram, right? You can be linked, right, remotely, instantaneously to your biohologram, right? And the linking does not depend on the strength of the signal. It does not depend on the locality of the signal. It depends upon the precision of refraction mechanism. So each biohologram is basically a geometrical code, mathematical code, geometrical code, right? Which is unique for you and for me eternally. So in other words, there is no death. So if my body will be killed, eliminated in this dimension, I will successfully go to the other dimension. Because this refraction code, geometrical code, is eternal, infinite and eternal due to the laws of quantum physics. So if you know this code, you can transmit information remotely, right? And the other important implication is that you cannot harm the wave matrix. So any attempt at harming, right, the hologram will be bounced back as a boomerang, because the matrix is protected by this refraction mechanism. You can eliminate it's maybe in this dimension, but it's still protected. And the other way of transmitting remote information is the transmission of information between two unique wave matrices. And two unique wave matrices, they are protected because they basically are unique, right? So they exist in their parallel dimensions. But it is possible to transmit, let's say, morphological information from one matrix to another matrix by constructing Kozyrev mirror, right? The lens, specifically, exactly, precisely calibrated, right? Which creates a structural phantom, which actually allows for transmission of morphological information. So there are two protocols of remote management of biosystems. One is the instantaneous and remote transmission of information between two copies of the same unique non-local wave matrix. And another protocol is the transmission, instantaneous and remote transmission of morphological information between two unique, they're different, right? Two unique wave matrices via creating a structural phantom. So if you create a structural phantom, you actually are capable of filtering this refraction mechanism. So the sense of our technology is that we create these lenses. When we don't see, right, we need lenses to correct our vision. So our chromosomal apparatus, right, functions as geometrical optics. So when our chromosomes lose geometrical optics, they are similar to nearsighted or far-sighted eyes. So they simply are eyes out of focus. So our chromosomes function as our eyes. So our technology creates lenses which helps our chromosomes create the refraction and achieving the focus. So the zero center of the hologram, which you get via refraction, right? This zero center is a focus when our chromosome literally is capable of clear vision of its own unique genetic information from the noosphere. And noosphere is not the sphere of our Earth, it's the universal sphere. You see, it's this sphere of the information of these geometrical codes, which is eternal and infinite. So your creator, there is no creator, because when you say that there is absolute, who is the creator, then you reject the absolute, you see. If there is the absolute, it is ever existent, okay?
Yeah.
So if he created something, then it is not an absolute anymore, because everything that is right now was ever and will be ever. This is quantum non-locality. So unfortunately, demonology and Judaic Christianity and Satanism and all Abrahamic religions, unfortunately, they are not there. Poor children of patriarchal society. They should be rejected as soon as possible.
This sounds almost like there's this fellow, I pick on him quite a bit because I think he's a very poor scientist. And I won't even mention his name. But one of the reasons I think he's a poor scientist is that he refers to himself as a scientist about 6 or 7 times per minute. He'll remind you that he's a scientist. But his entire premise is based on the proposition that the universe is so cool that it invented itself, which I think is preposterous. What do you think? What is the origin of the universe? I mean, I might as well ask you, what is the meaning of life? I realize that's a pretty weighty question, but I mean, can we ever really know the answer to that question, Irene? Seriously.
Well, you see, I wrote a dissertation on Aristotle. There was an argument between Plato and Aristotle. For Plato, the world was created. So he believed in the creation of the worlds,
Right.
in destruction of the worlds. Okay? And this implied, let's listen, hierarchy, okay? Emanation, fully incapacitated humans and non-fully incapacitated humans.
Okay.
Slave masters and slaves, okay?
Yeah.
And so this is the paradigm which was taken by Judeo-Christianity, which is simply untrue Christianity, okay? I am Christian. I am true Christian. You see, this is the symbols of true Christianity. In our major cathedral in St. Petersburg, this is a huge, these swastikas are huge swastikas on the floor around
There was
cupola.
one house in my neighborhood that actually had one of those.
These are true Christian symbols.
Yeah.
This is a symbol of true. This is true cross. So Judeo-Christianity is the falsification of the true Christianity. Okay. So and Aristotle, who was a Russian philosopher, not many people realize this. He was a Macedonian, and Macedonia was part of Serbia, and Serbia in ancient times was called Rushka. Okay, so it's Russia. They literally right now they speak Russian, and the alphabet is Russian. Okay, so and Alexander the Great, he was not speaking Greek, and his father Philip, he was not speaking Greek. He was speaking Russian.
That's it.
People, they did not realize it. So Aristotle was a Russian philosopher who actually wrote down the ancient Aryan beliefs from this matriarchal society, okay? And according to Aristotle, there are no world creation. There are no creation of the world. All these holograms, they're eternal and infinite. And they are completely, entirely in me. Not somewhere in the, as you say, second heavens, third heavens. They are now in me, completely, unconditionally. And I have unconditional access to the divine, quote, open, quote, closed. And the belief of true Christians, early Christians, were that they were gods because they identified themselves with Nous, which was divine, omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent, infinite and eternal, and indivisible, completely, entirely in me. They didn't identify themselves with this mortal, finite body, and correctly. So
Now, let me ask you about I'm trying to wrap my mind around this. It requires some study. Folks, if you go to wavegenome.com, you'll see what I mean. It requires a little bit of study to find out what's offered and how to avail yourself of it. So, no, I take for granted that like these products and these protocols are not intended to diagnose, cure, treat, or otherwise do anything with any disease, right?
Well, as my scientists say, there are no incurable diseases, okay?
Right.
But because I am American, I cannot state any medical claims according to FDA regulations.
Yes, officially speaking, these products, none of this will do absolutely anything at all. It's all in our heads. Okay, now that aside, which is the one of the medallions that the Spetsnaz likes to wear? Is that the ultimate mini Tesla PSI generator, and what does it do? I mean, because some of these have the digital software in them. I mean, one of them had a flash drive in the pendant. Others can be used by more than one person. Others are individualized. I mean, what do they do?
Well, the device which was used by special forces was the first device which was rectangular.
Yeah.
Rectangular, small. I mean, it was a chip, round chip inside the rectangular shell. And this was used by special forces and was actually developed for special forces by the most secret Soviet Union institute, which was founded in 1937. And it had 5,000 scientists, unlimited financial resources. And this institute was visited by Edgar Mitchell, for example. And when he visited, by the way, the institute, he said that he was never on the moon. By the way, this institute was in charge for the development of psychotronic weapons. And every psychic in the Soviet Union was actually registered at this institute, and the goal was not precisely even weaponizing, but the creation of the super soldier. Development of this ancestral Kazakh abilities, psychic abilities. Russians were getting really advanced results. And I would like to stress this, that these devices, they were not simply used for the psychotronic defense. They were used specifically to focus and center our chromosomes. This is what they're doing. They center and focus your chromosome. And when you center and focus your chromosome, you are capable of psychic abilities. You can have knowledge of the past and future. You can crack DARPA secrets like this. You see, look at me. I mean, I made my little fame, you see, by cracking every significant DARPA secret. And if you look at me before the use of this technology and after use this technology, you can see that I'm 55, you'll be 55 this year. You look at me. I think that I'm doing really well, you see, for the old lady mother of three. Well, so we have chips that are differing. Some chips are modulated by one mechanism of refraction. Some chips are modulated by the other mechanism of refraction, right? So basically what they're doing, they're creating a scalar wave diffraction grating. So this means that the chips are structured in layers. And the principle is basically simple physics, electret, conductor, electret, conductor principle. So conductor amplifies the signal, right? And electret reflects the signal upon itself. And the peak of the forward-going wave is neutralized by the trough of the same wave when the wave is reflected upon itself. So any external signal gets nullified, and you get scalar wave diffraction grating, which reflects the next signal towards the zero center of the hologram. And through this zero center, you get your own information from the quantum molecularity. So in other words, you get a lens on your eyes that helps you to see your own unique information in this huge, infinite sea of information, universal sea of information. And we have generic and individual. Generic are the digitized bioholograms of the universal, generically human individual, and individual are bioholograms which are recorded by the laser from the childhood photograph of the client, then digitized. And when you get digitized by a hologram, you can either transmit it remotely via laser to this person with modulations, or you can encode the chip with this biohologram on the nano level. And then when person wears this generator, he not only neutralizes any external signal, he also gets the use of every attack. He uses this signal to get a finer scalar wave diffraction grating, because the longer is the signal, the stronger it is, the finer it gets. The thinner it gets, more precise focus you get. So you're not afraid of the psychotronic attacks. So this is the goal. So the stronger attack you get, the better you are off. So this is the paradox of this technology. And some holograms that we are using are the holograms specifically for the psychotronic defense. These are the ultimate mini Tesla generator, which is produced for Mindtech Enterprises of Magnus Olsson and his organizations for the psychotronic defense. And he paid for the development of this device, and now only he can sell this device in my corporate office. And other devices are modulated by the immune modulator, for example, Ultra Mini Tesla. So we got this immune modulator and then recorded the biohologram, digitized, and now we can distribute it either as the digital file, or we can distribute it as a chip, right? And every generator, every mini Tesla's generator comes with the flash drive, with the complete digital pharmacy. And for you to understand the value, you say that it is very pricey. Only one digitized module of the healthy organ in Europe costs 35,000 euros. And they don't even do holograms because they don't know what it is. They're trying to sell frequencies. This outcome of the Nazi concentration camp research, when they researched which organs respond to which frequency. And it is not true. You can get frequency of heart. You should have biohologram. And biohologram necessarily would have low frequency and high frequency, at least, you see. But in the hologram, you have the infinite number of frequencies, fields, and particles. So hologram is a structural module. It is not a frequency media. It is not media-based technology. It is a structural phantom-based technology. It's based upon geometrical optics, based upon the refraction mechanism. And to get refraction mechanism, you need to have the devices that are capable of recording, and our skull is such a device. So our ancestors, they prolongated skulls precisely to increase the quantum effects of our skulls. Our bones produce stem cells precisely because they have the shape of the laser tubes. So we are talking laser quantum leap technology devices. And Elon Musk says to me, I have feline brains. I mean, the guy wants to make me into another boss. I mean, this is ridiculous. The guy needs to go to the local community college, seriously, and get some Aristotle basic classes in philosophy 1.0 for community college.
Okay, I got to ask you something. How does one set up a PSI program? If you were going to get this digital maintenance by wave genome, if you wanted to do this, how do you, and it says when you connect your mini Tesla generator to your computer, you both receive and transmit through the internet the information needed for your utmost performance to and from the Institute. So how is all of that arranged?
Well, we have a plan to create a digital platform, global digital platform for the distribution of digital drugs, bioelectronic drugs. So if anybody in the United States wants to team with this creation of this platform, we are welcoming the initiative.
Is this protocol already in place, or is it something that's going to happen in the future?
Well, we had this protocol, but it was very pricey. So we plan to build a digital platform, as I said, right? Mm-hmm. To be capable of transmitting through the internet, you must say connection to the digital platform in Moscow, which will serve as digitized bioholograms and will be protected from any intrusion and any attempts to steal and etc. This is the next step that my company will make. So right now what I did, I created a new generation of these chips with the Bauman University. Okay, for more precise, you might say, more modulated chips on nano level, which went through the clinical trials for aspirin. And I presented this results of these clinical trials at 2 conferences right now in China. I have just returned from China. I was made a chair of the neural engineering section at the Gene Convention in Xi'an, in China, and I was also presenting my speech at the Macau Gene Convention right now.
Yeah.
And I'm right now offered to publish a manuscript of 40 pages in the Journal of Gene Therapy published in the United States. So it will be it's a big paper, 40 pages. So I created a new protocol of more precise chips structured by laser on the nano level for the transmission of the bioelectronic drugs, because bioelectronic drugs have no side effects and have no overdose, because they are filtered by the reflection mechanism of your own biohologram, and they are more effective than any drugs. So my goal is to stop human sacrifice. I'm as a mother of 3. I just simply cannot deal with this. So when I went to Russia in 2015, right? I came to the stage when I looked at children in the United States, and when I saw a small child on the streets, I thought of Satanists who kill children. This was my state. My goal is to stop. And the only way to stop is to offer Peter Thiel, instead of, putting blood of children into his veins, to offer him digitized stem cell of fetus.
All right, now we've gotten to it.
Stop killing of fetuses. We need to just use freaking digital bioholograms of fetal stem cells.
Now
And
we've gotten to it.
stem
That's what this
cell
is all about.
therapy, any stem cell therapy should be like this, because stem cell therapy leads to cancers, because you cannot force upon my unique biohologram, you cannot force a biohologram of a swine. It leads to cancer and genetic degeneration. This Peter Thiel is sick right now. He's filled with the information, biographic information of other individuals. He needs to clean himself. Otherwise, he will get, he will be just
cancer is what it sounds like.
Human being.
Yeah.
So, and the next step my company will make is to build this digital platform, global digital platform. But it requires investment.
Okay. Say, this is quite a lot of information. You realize we're going to have to talk again.
Okay.
You know we must do this. And but I'm sure that you have to go pretty soon. I know we do. So, look, would you stay on the line just a moment, and I'll conclude this episode. I just want to talk to you for a minute before you ring off. All right?
Mm-hmm.
So hold the line. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. And thank you very much for coming on the program. Okay, everybody. Wow, was that something? Was that something? It's there's a lot more out there that's unknown than is known. Much of the stuff that was known has been either forgotten or is currently being concealed. Now, I don't consider myself to be a gullible person at all, but I am open to new ideas. And I'd say we could use a few. What do you think? I'm thinking we need some new ideas. And it's entirely possible that Dr. Caesar has a new idea. I've never heard anything like this. Not really. I mean, I've seen the scalar pyramid. That was very interesting. It produced some unexpected results. I didn't take it apart and see how it was made or anything of the sort. But when you go to wavegenome.com, and I wish you would, look at this closely. And look, this stuff is not cheap. Not at all. It is not inexpensive, in my view. However, whether you're interested in buying any of it or not, read the material, and I'd really like to have your feedback and your opinion of what you read, because the stuff that's contained in text here in this website, I'm just saying, this would be very difficult to just dream up out of nowhere. It appears to be solid, and it makes quite a lot of sense to me, but I'd like to know what you think. So, beloved and kind caravaner, check it out at wavegenome.com, and let me know your thoughts on this. This is, I think we're ready for a quantum leap, aren't we? A quantum leap out of the bog, maybe even into the light. All right, so until we meet again, exercise caution in your daily affairs. Talk to you on Arc Midnight, and 9 to midnight Central Time, every Saturday night, as long as the good Lord's willing and the creek nor the Apache rise. And God bless you, each and every one. Take care out there, and we'll talk to you soon. Be seeing you.